welcome in to Getting Help from Uncle Sam. We have a very special friend here, the new director of the Emergency Management Agency for the state of Alabama,
yes,
not just the county. And it's just wonderful. Brian Hastings, and I've known you in your Air Force career. Responsible, accountable. I wish we could hire every Air Force person that comes out. But I have to laugh. When you started out in your new job, and you'd been in your job for how many days before?
Well, actually, I stepped into it. So it was 3 days when we were preparing to brief the governor on a potential Cat 5 storm scooting around the Keys and doing a direct strike on the Alabama coast.
So you got baptized, as we say in the South, you got baptized in the deep end of the pool.
Absolutely.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about the people out there that you are trying to make safe and what they can do, because it is the responsibility of our public.
Absolutely. So just like politics, it's very local and emotional. We also agree that emergency management is also very local and emotional. So we just want to let people know that individuals play a significant role in their own preparedness, their response to crisis and emergencies, and their recovery. So resilient people means resilient families, which means resilient communities, which means a resilient Alabama. So a lot of people look at the Emergency Management Agency as response. We've got, when times of crisis, we're at the podium talking into a microphone to the public, or we're behind the governor and backing her up on her message. But ultimately, the time and effort that goes into preparing for these things, and then the tale of the recovery and the hundreds of million dollars of rebuilding and making the community more resilient, is really where we make our money. But that response, it's quick, you need to be credible, you need to have people protect themselves, communities protect our folks, and the state plug those gaps that the local counties and municipalities cannot do because something has exceeded their organic capabilities. And that's really our role. We coordinate to make sure that all of the state works together in a unified effort to solve problems when disaster strikes.
And when disaster does strike, if it's a storm, no matter what it is, obviously you're at the forefront to let people know that it's coming and how to protect their lives. But basically, after it hits is probably when your work really starts.
That is true. And so after Nate, we had started a state-run recovery with IRMA. And it was small and manageable. And then after Nate, we actually met the threshold of about $6.9 million for a major disaster declaration by the president. So we're up at about $17+ million of disaster down in the southern counties along the coast. And we petitioned to FEMA, and the governor supported our petition to the president and FEMA to do a state-run recovery, because we didn't want a large FEMA team coming in here and doing a recovery that was kind of a cookie-cutter approach at all disasters, and all impacts are the same across all 50 states. So we think we're being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars by doing this Alabama right-sizing it, saving money, and really focusing on building resiliency in our emergency management teams at the county and local levels to do their own public worksheets, project worksheets, to connect them with federal dollars more efficiently. And then we build this team across all of Alabama that now knows how to navigate the bureaucracy of the state and federal government.
Well, on a practical level, let's say for our audience, because they're watching you and they're thinking, okay, we've just had all this snow. We've got weather season coming up, March, April. I've seen snow here in April, and we have. As an individual in our audience, what are the major things that an individual can do?
Well, the first thing is, and I've got a 12-year-old at home, and he wonders, hey, Dad, how are we going to get together? Are we prepared? Where are we going to go in the house if a tornado hits? And what is our plan? So here's a couple things. First of all, if you're going to make an emergency kit, you need to do something that's going to last you for about 3 days. You want to make sure you have water, you have food, you have radios that are connected to emergency weather channels, batteries or backup batteries, or some type of generating device that allows it to power without being connected to the grid. A lot of folks now have generators, but not everyone can afford
That's
those
right.
things.
That's right.
You need to have, with the food, you need to make sure you have a manual can opener.
Yeah, true.
If you lose water, you need to have some basic tools and first aid kits so you can turn off utilities and if it's a bad emergency. And then you need to take care of yourself. So plastic bags, wipes, things for hygiene, to separate those things you need to do in human function, but also from human living. And then you just got to put that somewhere that you have access to it. The next thing is get connected and be informed. So have some extra batteries for your cell phone, get some apps, or know who to call to get information on what's approaching. A lot of apps now have alerting features where they'll say, hey, in 5 minutes a rainstorm is going to start.
That's right.
Or you're entering into a zone that has a tornado watch or warning. So there's a lot of things out there. And if we can just get people interested and engaged to find value and inform themselves to protect themselves, that's half the battle. And we saw that through a lot of the disasters, especially this last snowstorm.
People did a good job.
Oh, they did a phenomenal job.
And they paid attention. I think you brought up a point earlier. When you're told to stay off the roads, stay off the roads.
Amen.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I took a lot of heat from my brothers and sisters up north, being a northerner. That, oh goodness, it's just a dusting in Alabama. You know how it goes,
Chicago,
right?
I know.
I'm suburb Chicago too, sir.
Yeah.
And so, what they saw up north was it was going to be a dusting to 2 inches of snow across Alabama. What we saw was the perfect storm of 38-degree road temperatures, of Arctic freeze behind it, a dusting that was going to melt and glaze the entire state of Alabama for 2 to 3 days. And it's exactly what happened. And it was treacherous for a while.
Good. Brian, we're going to get you to come back one other time to learn a little bit more about what we really need to be doing. And just remember this, as he mentioned earlier on, the biggest thing you can do is have yourself prepared. Know the different storms that can be a part of our area of the country and make sure that you're set for whatever hits. And we'll be right back right after this.